I remember there was a time that I was very, very much head over heels for Bon Iver's sound and style, but these days, not really so much, even though I will say the debut album, Forever Ago, is still really good and holds up quite well. I do view it more as an entry point for indie music, for folk music, these days, rather than being like an album that I adore or anything like that. But it still has some really good songs on it that I can't really deny have held up well. In terms of releases after that, though, I can't really say that much. I've not really dug anything aside from a few tracks here and there. Tracks like Holocene, maybe the track that Bon Iver did with James Blake, I Need a Forest Fire. Just like occasional ones like that I do think are good, but nothing really that sticks with me in the long run. 22 A Million saw Bon Iver take things in a very different direction with the electronic ideas, very much akin to an artist like James Blake actually, but it just didn't stick with me. It was fragmented, the ideas were cool, but it just didn't really make for a very satisfying listen. It is very clear though that some of those ideas from 22 A Million crossover to this new album I, and I'm kind of similar to how I felt on that album as I am with this album. I think they are very different albums, but I think you can make a connection between the two. You can see that what they were doing on 22 is kind of crossing over to what they're doing here, but it's to a lesser extent. It's not on every track. There are some quite traditional tracks here that Bon Iver are going for, but those electronic ideas do crop up on the first couple of tracks especially. And those are by far the worst songs. Like, I do not enjoy that opening stretch of tracks at all. I think vocally I'm getting annoyed with Justin here. Musically it's quite unique, it's pretty experimental. I like the ideas, but I just don't think it makes for great songs. Now, without focusing too much on the music, because I think it's an approach that you can absolutely gravitate towards and fall in love with, like people did with Double Negative by Low from last year, or you can just be on the opposite end of things and just be completely confused by what the appeal is. And I think I'm kind of on that end. But even without that, I just really can't get to grips with Justin's voice across this album. He is often reaching in his higher register so much, and look, man, to my ears, it sounds kind of ugly. I don't think I ever noticed it on early releases from Bon Iver, but maybe if I went back now, I would find it irritating. But that shrill voice he goes for is not appealing at all. It is completely not flattering his best abilities. Like, I just don't see why he wouldn't just sing in his natural tone, because first of all it would sound natural, and second of all it's his best approach to singing. He's got a good voice. What's wrong with his singing on Hey Ma? What's that you say? What's that? Nothing? You said, yeah, you're right, there is nothing wrong with his singing on Hey Ma. It's because he sings so well. He's got a nice tone to his voice that fits the instrumental on that track. But reaching into that falsetto, I just think it's a bad look on I mean, he says I am throughout the songs. I may as well call the song I Am. But yeah, like on the verses here, I just think it doesn't match the music whatsoever. And the lyrics are really, really surface level too. Like, I just don't get anything from reading his lyrics. On a track like We, he just sounds very clunky over a really dull instrumental, to be honest, because his voice again is just doing that shrill thing. For me, I just can't get with it. I can't really connect to him as a vocalist. Not to say that I need to relate to him, because relating and connecting are two different things. But like a track like Hey Ma, I feel really, really deep within the song. I feel a part of it. I feel like I'm being invited. I feel warm because his voice is just so well performed. His performance here is really good. Same with a track like You, which is very gospel influenced, and I love the piano progression on this track too. It's actually one of the highlights in terms of the instrumentation, I think, on the whole album actually, because again, I just think his voice paired with this sound, it's just the perfect fit. It's not exactly the most stunning song I've ever come across. I mean, I could definitely find way better examples that send chills down my spine in terms of like piano performances. Masakatsu Tagaki comes to mind instantly when I think of that. But I think it is a solid track, probably in a bunch of tracks that just aren't really particularly very good. On a track like Faith, the instrumentation is really rushing with life, even though that interlude track right before it, I just think is so out of place and pointless. It's not really like matching the current tone of the album. Maybe if that was at the start with the more electronic type stuff, then I think it could have worked, but it doesn't really leading into Faith, I don't think. But yeah, Faith has just got this great instrumental again, sounding like something from John C's Go album, which is a great album that people need to get onto. It's pretty overlooked, I think, in terms of like Sigur Rós albums, but his solo one, Go, oof, oof. Marion is a track that has similar issues with the vocals. It's such a delicate acoustic jam. I just don't think his voice needs to be like blaring out like the way it does. It just ruins the song, ruins the vibe. I don't think it really needed it. But I think the penultimate track is one of the worst offenders again for vocals. I just think there's nothing good about the vocal performance on this track at all. The lyrics on this track as well, just completely non-readable. I just have no idea what he's aiming to go for. I feel as though he thinks he's writing something way more artistic than it is, and it just comes across as like, what are you talking about? Paired with his voice as well. Ah, oh, what a mess. So yeah, I'm pretty conflicted on this album. I think anyone that knew I didn't like 22 a Million probably would have guessed I wouldn't really be into this one either. I just don't really think Bon Iver are offering the best they've got. Like, you could do something interesting with this blend of ideas, you know, the electronic stuff, but they just are not taking it all the way. Justin's putting forward some of his worst vocal performances as well. It's just not a satisfying listen to me at all. There is that strong middle of the album run, you know, from Hey Ma, and then a few more after that are pretty solid. But yeah, aside from that, I think this is like a 5 out of 10 for me. Don't think the whole thing is bad, to be honest, but it's definitely quite mediocre and not very appealing to my ears. Let me know what you think of this album though. Thank you for watching my review. If you like it way more than I did, then let me know. But if you feel the same as me, that would be great to hear as well. But yeah, give me some thoughts. Thank you for watching my review. Consider supporting me on Patreon as well. That'd be great if you enjoy what I do. That's all in the description box, the details. Thank you. Goodbye.